Hello and welcome to another video from yourchildseducation.com. I'm Dr. Neil Bompani, and today I'm going to explain how Reddit told me to FAAFO. If you don't know what that stands for, it's F around and find out. So let's find out why. I try to spend a little time on teacher blogs like Reddit and Quora, where I read posts and try to offer advice to young teachers who have struggles or ask questions. Sometimes I reply to posts because they contain misinformation, but I try to respond in a calm and reasonable manner, usually. About 2 weeks ago, I somehow lost my ability to post, as well as my ability to respond to posts. Since then, if I read a post where someone was really struggling and I thought I could help, I just simply messaged them directly. Now, I read a post and I responded to it. Recently, I tried to post a message calling for reason and discussion regarding gender education in our schools. I'm going to repeat the post here. However, first let me tell you what happened. After reading an emotional post from someone attacking the Florida law prohibiting gender education in Florida schools, I decided to write that person and share some rational insight. After writing the person, I decided to try and post my thoughts on a new post. I didn't know if it was going to work. Wasn't sure if it would be accepted, but I thought it was worth a try. Now, I finished the post, I saved it, printed it out for my wife to read so she could point out some of my usual typos, spelling errors, and I fixed it and saved it again. Then I actually tried to post it. As soon as I hit the post button, I received a note that I was not allowed to post to the blog. Now, I have posted to this blogger before. The note stated that only trusted members could post to the site. Well, I messaged the moderators, included my post. Actually, I explained to them that I've been giving advice to young teachers, and I really wasn't making it political. I was trying to help them through what I had to go through. So I actually uploaded my post the second time, but it was on my own personal page where no one would see it, which explains the first response. On this next slide, you will see the messages. Okay, so I sent them a message, and I added the post to it. So you see here, hi, you're posting on your own page somehow. Regardless, post that on r/teachers, and you'll find yourself blocked. FAAFO. I missed that the first time. I really did. I had to look it up, actually, because I'm not into urban slang. So I sent back a text that said, what I asked was this: why am I blocked? And he said, this is probably why. Actually, that's definitely why. Rule 1, baby. Okay, now, I responded and said, first of all, it's unprofessional to reply in this manner. I'm not your baby. Second, Rule 1 says, yeah, links to blogs, vlogs, videos should be self-posts. I don't believe I placed any links to blogs or vlogs or videos. So how did I break Rule 1? Now, I haven't gotten a response to that. And I was going to wait for it until I looked back and saw that FAAFO. Just in case you did not know, of course, you might have heard at the beginning, FAAFO is urban slang for F around and find out. I missed that the first time, like I said. I looked it up, so I repaired this post. And I thought calling me baby was unprofessional. So I searched the moderator code of contact pages, but I couldn't find anything about being professional or insulting or belittling users. It may be there, but I couldn't find it. Now, I'm going to read to you what I wrote. And please listen through this completely before you react. You might tend to disagree with the opening sentences, but please listen to what I have to say about the situation as a whole. Then please feel free to comment. I believe that the bills in Florida and Tennessee are getting a bad rap, far worse than they deserve. They are contentious, they are very reactionary, but they are a hasty response to the hasty inclusion of teaching gender issues in schools, especially in very early grades. If you don't remember, this came on very quickly, what they're doing in the schools. These bills are not really anti-gay. You can read them online. Now in Florida, they chant, this is the Don't Say Gay bill. There's nothing like that in there. And they really do not teach any kind of hate. They were meant to protect the very young. They may, however, have gone too far. But only calm discussion among all parties can affect change. We have too many people reacting emotionally. I have no issues with transgender people. In fact, I have a family member who is transgender. He's married to someone who he loves and who loves him, and they get along great. However, as a parent and grandparent, I have issues with teaching very young children anything about sex, especially in graphic ways they can't comprehend. And I added this line for teachers: did you study Bloom's taxonomy? That's Bloom had studied what children could understand, comprehend, and work with as they age. So in the 1980s, we saw an epidemic of teen girls with anorexia. Some of you that are old as me remember that. Now we're seeing teen girls rushing to take hormone blockers and transition without taking the time to consider anything. They might be rushing into something that they will later regret. We can't say because we do not know enough, but we do know that rushing into something this drastic usually calls for a lot of consideration. Now, I could go into facts here, and I suggest you read the book Irreversible Damage, and you'll hear all the facts about the transgender movement. The research shows that 80% of young people with gender dysphoria overcome it by the ages of 18 to 20. Some realize that they are gay, others simply grow out of it, and a few transition. Also, the evidence that early actions can be harmful has been well documented. Even Sweden has banned the sale of hormone blockers to children, and Sweden is hardly a conservative country. Now, if we consider that any girl going through puberty experiences a wide array of new emotions, with many of them being unpleasant, although I have never had a period, I know it has to make girls hate it. I've gone out with enough girls when I was younger, and I know they were going through hell. But teen girls who are still adjusting to growing into adulthood and going through these wild emotions really make the rational decision to transition. There are many social media influencers out there who tell these girls how to get around parents and doctors. Shouldn't schools give them more sober advice? Again, read that book, Irreversible Damage. And that was not written by a conservative, by the way. When you hear about how these trans influencers on social media are telling these young ladies how to disconnect from their parents, to never talk to their mothers, so on and so forth, it's just going to make you sick. All right, let's move on. So maybe after a lot of sober thought and research, there can be a discussion on what can be taught and when it can be taught. Maybe students should hear all of the warnings first. Don't get me wrong, gender dysphoria is real, but the percentages of children claiming that they are gender dysphoric has spiked, just like anorexia in the 1980s. We must, as a society, learn to make changes only after considering all the information and possible impacts on society. I can't understand how educated adults can't look at what is happening and not question things. And again, you may know young kindergartners are being visited by transgender guys dancing around in G-strings. This is not something that any kindergartner should be exposed to. What we can do, and we can do this right from day one, is teach children to respect everyone, no matter how different. If we teach that consistently every school year, by the time students are ready for discussions on gender issues, things might not be so contentious. Might also be a good idea to find common ground first. So many people are taking extreme stances just because the ideology they don't like is on the other side of the issue. Why can't we just think like rational adults, not from the left or the right, just common sense? I don't think my words will mean much. This is part of my post, because how far we have fallen as a society. We are divided because our leaders, those in the media, have defined the issues. Why can't we define them ourselves? especially, and this went out to teachers, please understand this. I'm asking teachers, why can't we define these? Why do we have to be told what things are like? All right. Now, there's a lot more that I have to say on this issue, but I wanted to keep it short. If asking people to sit back, consider all the facts, and discuss the pros and cons of the subject, we might not be so divided. I'm sorry, that was poorly written, wasn't it? Right now, we have an all-or-nothing argument. The far left insists that elementary students understand that their gender has not been decided. In middle school, children are not only taught about sex, they are introduced to anal sex, fisting, licking another person's anus, many other sexual acts that, only a short time ago, were considered deviant by most people. I can only come to the conclusion that those in positions of power are doing their best to continue to divide us as a country. We are divided by race, by religion, by class, and now by gender. We are so divided that we are not asking our leaders how our children will deal with the massive debt which we are burdening them. We're not asking where the trillions of dollars spent in the last couple of years are being used for the general good of the country. Where is the infrastructure we're supposed to build? Why have we not seen a reduction in inflation after the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act? Now, I'm not blaming this on the left, please. Understand, it takes a lot of people to do this. Why are we not addressing the rise in violent crime in our cities, or how horrible criminals are being just let go? We keep being fed more and more lies while the liars point blame at others. Our leaders refuse to compromise on anything. I've stated before that I believe this has all been planned ahead of time in order to move the United States into Marxism. Young people are taught that it will solve all of our problems without ever addressing the root issues. What they are not told is that under Marxism, we're going to be in a police state where the new police will be brutal. If they think police are bad now, wait till that happens. People will be told what to do, where to work, where to live, what to eat, etc. Liberties, freedoms, and property will no longer exist. Please understand, this is not something that is a far-out conspiracy theory. This is coming to pass. But people do not believe this. All that is happening now that is causing such strife in America was foretold by many people in the past. They were brushed off as conspiracy nuts or prophets of doom and gloom. We do not learn to communicate and compromise, we will slide further into the abyss. People start killing each other in the streets, and that is happening now, in large numbers as lawlessness just takes over. I will not apologize for what I say, since I have been saying these things for years, and I take no joy in the fact that I was right. I was telling people many years ago that education was headed in the wrong direction, and we as teachers, as educators, needed to do something. I just got blank looks, and so what? Can't do anything about it, or maybe they didn't even think that it was possible. And now look where we are. Our schools are failing. Our students cannot, make it in the real world. You hear a lot of talk about transgender children killing themselves. Well, teen suicide is up across the board. We have a lot of lost kids in this country. And the suicide rate among the gender dysphoric is just as high after transitioning as before transitioning. And it's not because other people don't accept them. Other people haven't accepted a lot of other people for years. My goodness, if the African American society thought that way back in the 1920s, they would have all killed themselves. So I can't believe that the left can blame other people for teenagers taking their life. There's a lot of reasons these young kids are taking their life, and it's not because somebody disagrees with their lifestyle. That is not the truth. There are a lot of causes, and people have been discussing it. It's not getting a lot of press, but if you want to find out, you can find out. Well, anyway, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and please comment below If you have a problem or you have an idea, or I don't care, please feel free. Thank you very much. Have a great day.